All right, guys, we are live. I want to come out and do this live in a different way than I normally do. I'm doing this through Zoom because I want to show you a few things. First of all, though, I want to thank everybody for being here and let you know that you can still do any of the chats, questions, anything you have. I always want to start off thanking everybody that's in my Patreon club. You guys keep me going. And if you are interested in full access to my full catalog of my full catalog is available of pre-recorded breathwork sessions, in addition to access to different kind of techniques. I do show you a few different styles and techniques in that Patreon club. In addition to that, there are certain tiers where you can get access to my breathwork tip of the month, or you can have access to ask me any question you like, and I answer in a way that is like I would answer to a client. So there's sometimes things like, "Hey, Emily, nice to have you here." Sometimes there's questions that we go over in YouTube lives, but ultimately I give the most in-depth answers to those that are in the tier in my Patreon club, who are they're willing to help my channel out a little bit extra, and I give you a little bit extra in my answers. So there's all those things. In addition to that, very soon I'll be adding more tiers for client level tiers where you get a discounted rate, and that'll get you an hour with me. And some of you guys are already in that tier. I just haven't opened up any new slots because my schedule is so busy. But basically, we do any kind of breath work you like, and you get a full 1 hour session direct with me every single month. So those are options, but I do want to show you guys a few things that I'm really excited about. One is the workshop, or not workshop. I'm doing a retreat that I'm really excited about. It's in Playa del Carmen, and I want to show you the how to get access to it and how all this stuff works. If you want to ask questions, of course, ask questions in the comment box. Please like the or smash the like button, as we say on YouTube. And any questions you have, I'll go over those again today. But I do want to show you some things today, because oftentimes when I do these YouTube lives, I don't actually get to show you the stuff that I'm talking about. So I actually want to go through and show you where you can get to these things. And hey, maybe you like it, maybe you don't, no big deal. But we'll talk about other stuff today too. But I want to start off just showing you some stuff. So I'm going to show you my screen here. And of course, this is so weird whenever it does this. So I'm just going to go over here like that. And I'm going to go ahead and take a look. So this is my website. By the way, this is my website. So if you go to jessekumar.com, by the way, I just revamped the website. So hopefully you like it. But if you go to my upcoming events, there is something I want to draw your attention to. There's two really amazing events. Obviously, I have Wim Hof Method workshops like crazy, but I also have a Wim Hof Method experience retreat in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And this is just insane what we're going to be doing in Playa del Carmen. So, of course, Playa del Carmen is not this icy landscape that you see here, but this is the gorgeous place that we're going to be doing ice baths on the beach, breath work in open air areas, just the ocean breeze, all these things. And hey, there's that handsome guy himself. There he is. But basically, if you want to take a look at this is on my website. You just go over to the upcoming trainings and you click on buy tickets. It'll give you more information. The thing is, it's not a Wim Hof Method workshop experience. This is the Wim Hof Method experience. And what we do, yes, it's open for anybody, no matter if you've been practicing for a long time or if you've never practiced before. So I know a few people who say, "Hey, I love practicing Wim Hof Method, but my spouse has never done it before. Would this work for the both of us?" And the answer is yes, because we are going to go over the instructional part. But this is a in-depth, deep dive, 4 days of using Wim Hof Method. So it's not just how do I do Wim Hof Method. It is using Wim Hof Method as a tool for self-transformation, which is a different thing. It is going to be the Wim Hof Method that gives you all the different health and all the health benefits, immune system boost, all of these things, but we're also using the more advanced Wim Hof method stuff. So things like, you're going to learn things like the inner fire breathing technique, which is an amazing technique that typically people don't hear about very often, but it's a technique that Wim adapted from Tumo, and ultimately it's amazing how it actually, doing this technique with certain like certain breath holds and you're flexing certain muscles, you can raise your body temperature at will. And I know because I've done it, and I practice it and I train it. And then in addition to that, we're going to do a lot of what we consider called power breathing. So these are the deep dive sessions, the longer than normal. And if you are looking for a way to have an amazing experience in a tropical environment, and then in addition to that, of course, have an amazing transformative experience, my colleague James Stewart and I are going to be leading this, and we're really excited about it. But in addition to all of that, you're staying at this world-class resort. If you take a look at this, I just want to, let's see here. So they have the gallery here. It's just an insane place. Like, as far as just how beautiful this place is. We're going to be doing breath work underneath that enclosed area. They've got amazing rooms. We'll be doing stuff on the beach. And in addition to the stuff we're doing, they've got all kinds of other things that you have access to. So if you want to do Qigong, they have Qigong. If you want to do meditation, this is a health resort. That's the cool thing. That's the thing. The reason why I wanted to team up with these guys is because this is a health focused resort. It's not just a any old resort. This is a place where it's all about health, wellness, and alternative ways of getting there. In addition to that, of course, you can have a margarita on the beach if you like as well. So it's giving you kind of the best of all worlds. The food is all included, and it's gourmet, like super healthy stuff that's delicious too. So all of that is coming up. It's in May. And it is, it's May, let's see, when is that? It's May 5th is when it starts, and it goes the whole weekend. So it starts on Thursday, May 5th, and then May 6th, May 7th, and then ends on May 8th. You'll fly out of Playa del Carmen in plenty of time to get home to go to the rest of the world. But the goal is that instead of returning to the rest of the world in the same way that you arrived here, that you're changed in a positive way. And so when we arrive, we're going to try to figure out what it is that we're trying to work on and really dedicate this. So when it comes to retreats, these are really important things. These are things that oftentimes we don't take the time to work on ourselves. We dedicate so much time to work, and we wonder why we're miserable and anxious and all these things. Even if you're not miserable, even if you're not, really suffering, we need to take time for ourselves. It is imperative to do self-work. So that is something that's coming up. And actually, while I'm on this page, I want to bring your attention to the Convergence as well. That is in July. So we've got quite a bit of time, but this is I'm with Rob Linfesti out in North Carolina, and it is at the Mandala Springs Eco Retreat. Literally, this is where he has his chocolate factory. So we'll do a cacao ceremony too. So we're talking about cacao that is naturally sourced. It's completely organic. And he makes sure to get it from these co-ops that are sustainable, and they're equitable to the people who are actually harvesting the cacao. There's so much of just dirty practices when it comes to these things that we don't even think about. Chocolate, being a part of, things that are basically the slave trade, or just really awful practices when it comes to agriculture, like just completely raping the agricultural landscape of an area just so they can get a chocolate bar. So it's really cool. Rob takes us through all that. We're doing heat therapy. We're going to be doing some vivation. So I know I've mentioned vivation. I'll be talking a lot more about it in the next couple of months. We're going to be doing some vivation and other styles of breath work as well. Included in that is also all your meals. Camping is a part of it. So this one is there's physical challenges. So this is one where you don't want to come to it and you're not ready to give it, because you get what you put in. And so this is a really awesome retreat. So I'm really excited to announce that one and this is our second one. Last year's was just unbelievable. It was really unforgettable. So anyway, I wanted to do this live today in a way that I could actually show you some things. Oftentimes I don't get a chance I talk about these things, but I actually get to show you things. So I wanted to show you a few things. I'll probably now that I have the access to do this today in today's live, I'll just show you this. Oh, well, just go to this place or that place. So anyway, so that's that. So, hey, it's good to see you, Brandon. Nice to have you here at Axios. Well, hello from Barcelona. Awesome. Well, it's nice to have you here today. If you guys have any questions or if you'd like me to talk about anything specific, I'd be happy to do that. But today, basically, we're going to be talking about what is coming, what is the future. And right now, I'm really happy to announce that I am teaching the first class of the language of breath. And this is me. I've got a cohort of just some incredibly talented individuals who've decided to learn how to be breath workers, how to learn how to help other people with breath work. And so that is also happening, and that's happening this June. This first cohort is already full. And so if you'd like to get in on the next one, the first thing you have to do is take the 6-week online course. So I do the Language of Breath online course, and I'm going to be doing that later on this year because I'm actually just so overbooked right now with everything else that's going on. So it's really, one of those times where I like to say I'm getting blessed so hard, so many good things. The world is blossoming. And even though I know it seems like the world is going to hell in a handbasket, as we say, believe me, there are good things happening. And the thing is, it starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with us. So this is how, Alex, I'd love to answer your question. I saw that you retracted your question. I'd love to answer your question, but maybe you wanted to rephrase it. If you guys have questions, I'd be happy to answer those questions today, because basically today is a free Friday afternoon for me. I love doing these YouTube lives. It's an awesome community that we've got here in this on this YouTube channel, and it's growing, and I appreciate that. If you're a fan of the channel and you want to help it grow, of course, there's ways to do that. Of course, liking and subscribing are free and they're easy to do. Sharing videos that you find helpful or you find enjoyable, making suggestions to me on what it is you'd like to have me talk about, even making a comment on a video. Those are all ways that are free to help me make better content and to share, hopefully, good things. My whole goal is hopefully through, of course, breath work, biohacking, and just simply being a positive influence, hopefully just a positive influence, the good things will happen. And I have a great faith that that is true. Oftentimes we underestimate just how powerful we can be just in our everyday actions. So we feel like oh no, I've got to be the president of the United States to make any changes. And it's just not true. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Brandon. Being overbooked is a wonderful thing. However, occasionally I do want free time too. And it's one of these things where I do have to work on work-life balance. And this is just an admission from a breath worker who I'm published. I am serious. It's a full-time job, and I'm very, very blessed to have a following and a career in this. That I do find that, hey, anxiety creeps up. I want to make sure to provide the best possible experience for everyone who, if you're willing to pay to have me teach you, I am so honored by that. So I'm like, man, I got to make sure to show up. I got to make sure they get the best experience ever. And whenever you're like that and you hold yourself to that high of a standard, and I'm not trying to toot my horn or do I am so great. Now I'm literally, I promise, but I'm just saying it gives you great anxiety because you're just like, well, what if I am just a jackass and I don't bring it? What if I brain fart all day? And occasionally I'll have a workshop or a retreat where I leave and I feel like, man, I could have, I didn't have a perfect, things could have been better, in other words. And those are the times when I'm not as happy. Most of the time I'm yes, I brought it, everybody had a great time, and everybody tends to have a good time. But there's times whenever it's just, maybe you're the only one that notices, or maybe it's just all in your head. And so those things creep up on me. And it's why a practice, like a regular breathwork practice, is really important for me. You know, cold training is something I also really am into. I love heat training. I haven't, and this is just an admission on my part, I haven't been able to ice bathe as much as I would like to ice bathe. And you might have seen one of my recent videos where I was in a frozen over lake and I had those giant, you know, those giant ice cubes. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you didn't, take a look. It's one of my videos. I think it came out last month. It was, yeah, definitely last month. And it was epic and it was awesome. And I would love to say that I've been doing that level of cold training every single day. But I will say in the last, probably the last 3 weeks, I really haven't been able to ice bathe much. I think maybe in the last 3 weeks, I've taken maybe a handful, maybe 2 or 3 ice baths in the last 3 weeks. And that affects me. You know, that is something that I've noticed, that I am like, okay, I can tell there's a difference. And so it's because I'm really busy. It's not that I'm trying to make excuses. I know, you know, we all do these things now and then. It's not like I'm trying to make excuses. It's just literally that by the time I get to the point where I actually have time to do my own ice bath, like my own practice suffers because I'm so busy. So it's something where all of us, you know, no matter how successful you are or where you are in this grand scheme of things, sometimes we feel like having, you know, a bunch of idle time is a bad thing. Idle time can be really good. Yeah, Brandon, you saw me on the ice throne. Alex, I'm going to answer this question here in just a second. But yeah, I was on the ice throne. James and I, we were creating an ice hole, an ice hole. Yes, we like to say that fast. We created an ice hole, and we were doing this for a retreat that we were giving in Wisconsin. It was at Sand Valley. We do 2 of those a year. It was this amazingly cold area, perfectly cold for so long that there was at least 18 inches of ice. I mean, it was incredibly deep. And so James did most of the work, but we took a chainsaw out there and we had to just really work hard to get that ice out. And eventually we realized, you know, there's only one way to get the ice out, and then we got to get in. So James got in, and then I got in. And we built an ice throne with these giant ice cubes that we had lugged out because we were in the freezing water, and we pushed out these ice cubes, and we were like, man, wouldn't this be cool to build like something out of it? Because it looked like you could build an igloo out of it. But anyway, we built a throne. We're like, okay, so, and it turned into 2 boys playing with blocks after a while. That was the really cool thing, because you get so playful whenever when you're playing in ice, when you're actually, you know, allowing yourself to be in a playful mode, life is far more enjoyable. So yeah, it's an interesting thing that, you know, I got to say, when it comes down to it, being busy, there is a certain degree. It's just like everything. There's a certain degree that's good, and there's a certain degree that can be detrimental. Now, fortunately, my breathwork practice is really in full swing right now, and that's a good thing, or else I really couldn't handle all the stress, because I do have a full load at the university, and I have a full-time job as a breath worker and trainer. So it's something that these are my dreams, and I absolutely am not complaining. But there, like I say, sometimes we get blessed so hard. Sometimes things are, you know, good in a way that's so intense that even those things can be anxiety inducing. But hey, let's talk about some questions from the audience. If you guys have questions for me, I'm going to stick around here for about, I'm going to try to do a full hour today, and hey, we'll see what happens. So Alex says, thanks. I'm actually nibbling on more 100% cacao organic and taking more theanine. Oh, that L-theanine is one of my favorite supplements. I think I might overwork myself at 21 years old and stressed and anxious. So does these things help with stress? Well, L-theanine is great for stress. I did a video on L-theanine a long time ago, but I need to do another one about it. When I was writing my book, A Practical Guide to Breathwork, by the way, since I'm using, you know, Zoom today, I'll show you as a quick aside how you can get your very own copy of A Practical Guide to Breathwork. It is on my website. Let's see here. and I'm just having fun. I'm going to answer your question, but I'm just having a little fun here. So, okay, you go to my website and you go to books, and look at this, books by Jesse. I did a practical guide to breath work. That's my most recent and complete book. I also have my ebook, a practical guide to cold training, and then you can get the ebook bundle. Woo. Okay. Anyway, enough promotion. So when it comes down to it, the cool thing I really like about L-theanine is that it helps me to, it's considered a nootropic. And the reason why it's considered a nootropic is because it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it does cause a person to have more alpha waves. And alpha waves are incredibly awesome. They're associated with creativity. So whenever I'm under stress, and whenever anybody's under stress, not only is it really stressful, right? Not only is it panic inducing at times, but it's also whenever oftentimes we think the least critically and the least creatively. When you're in a stressful situation, actually, you can get to a state where we call it the go, no go state, where you will fight, you will freeze, or you will flee. And if it's not one of those things, then it's very difficult to do anything. And that's why whenever we're stressed out, a lot of times we're just total jerks to our loved ones, or we make the dumbest decisions. And I think the best example of that is if you've ever seen a dog like run into the wall or something like that, and like they get scared and they just run into the wall. We do that too, metaphorically speaking, and probably, hey, we've all done it maybe a time or two. But anyway, so L-theanine is a really good supplement for stress. It's non-habit forming. It's something you can take before bed if you want to, but it's not something that's going to make you drowsy. I would recommend taking 200 to 400 milligrams of L-theanine if you're starting off with it. Most people will not need to take more than 200 to 400 milligrams of L-theanine. However, if you're super caffeinated and maybe you're super stressed, I don't know of any toxicity to L-theanine. So that means as far as I know, there's no way to overdose on L-theanine. So I'm not going to say it's impossible, but there really isn't any way that I know of to build a toxicity to it. So if you took 600 to 800 milligrams of L-theanine, which I have done before, then, there's really nothing to worry about. When I was writing my book, it was a really stressful time. My 4-year-old, I had a 4-year-old at the time. He's a 6-year-old now, but this was during COVID, like the lockdowns and stuff like that. And so here his school was closed down. I was home trying to write my book, and it was just me and him because my wife, she worked, she had a job where she had to go to work. And I was trying to do this deep work, and it was really stressful. I had a deadline. There was all kinds of stressors, and I was caffeinating, which was a dumb idea, but I did it. And so I remember using L-theanine to kind of bring myself back down. Anyway, so that I will say is really helpful. Let's see here. So you're using now cacao can, the 100% cacao can be helpful for stress. I would really think about, and this is based off of my knowledge from especially Rob Linfesti, getting to know him and learning more about this. I would find out where your cacao is coming from. It seems as though there is actually really great 100% cacao out there. And there's also some really garbage stuff that passes off as great because there's not a lot of regulation as to where it's coming from. There's some chocolate out there that Rob considers, he calls it confectionery poison. And I always loved it whenever he started calling it confectionery poison. So cacao is not chocolate, it's what they make chocolate out of. But I would try to make sure you're getting it, at least make sure it's organic. Those can be good. Also, my friend Alex, if you're on this channel, hopefully you're getting into breath work. I have incredible, a huge library in the Patreon club. It's the Breath Club, Patreon club. And if you, hey, you know what? I'll show you how to get to that too. Since we're having fun on a Friday, and then I promise I'll get to the other stuff too, because I see some other comments. And Brandon, I think I see some pretty interesting things Brandon is saying. Oh, also, hey, join my newsletter. I promise I don't spam. I just send out usually maybe 1 or 2 things per month. And it's not this garbage that I tend to hate. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. If you want to join, here's the links. Just so you know, here's where I'm going to be. The end. It's not anything ridiculous. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was going to show you my my Patreon club. So if you go to my website under about, you join the Patreon, and oh cool, here's the Patreon club, and awesome, here we are. It's the last thing I still have that's called Midwestern Method. And if you take a look at the posts, you can see this is the community that's built up, and this is how many sessions exist in the Patreon club. Actually, there's more than this. It's this is just the update since February. So anyway, there's all kinds of sessions. I did 2 guided sessions this past month. If you're in the $10 and up tier, you get the monthly breath tip, and there's just you get the YouTube lives for the if you're in the $20 and up. But then also you get access to all of these guided breathwork sessions, which uses the language of breath, which is my style of breath work. So anyway, I wanted to show you that. Anyway, but if you're already a part of this channel, if you're a fan of this channel, you know that breath work is powerful, and you can actually get free access to some of those. Because if what I do, I've been releasing some of those. They're a year old. So if anything you see on the YouTube channel is about a year or more old, and in the Patreon club, basically, what I'm doing is, as I'm learning more about breath work, or as I'm experimenting, or as I have a client, and it's funny, this seemed to work for this client. I wonder what I experiment, and I use my system called the language of breath to create these types of breath work sessions. So check it out, and hopefully you'll prosper. And if you don't want to check it out, I do have some options for free. Okay. So Alex says, I'm already shredded. Hell yeah. But since it's cold, okay, when you say you're shredded, I'm assuming it's like, you're swole and you got abs or something, right? We can see the striations in the muscle. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. But you say, I'm already shredded. Maybe you're saying I'm shredded, like, oh my God, I'm super stressed. He says, since it's cold and radiant, it seems like my body is telling me to rest. Well, sometimes you need to listen. He says, I noticed I've been irritated, stressed, and angry and tired. So I've been eating more in supplements. Okay, so you've been eating more. This is a common thing. So one of the things we learn, and I'll give you a little sneak preview of some of the things you learn when you learn the complete meditative style of Vivation. We talk about suppression. And this is something I don't think you have to even practice Vivation to understand. And that is, when we have certain emotions, when we have certain feelings, we have the tendency as humans to suppress them and not to acknowledge them, or we want to escape having to feel them. So we go to other things. And oftentimes it's not like we consciously are like, I don't want to feel this feeling, so I'm going to go eat a pizza, or I'm going to go drink, or I'm going to do whatever, or watch a movie or whatever, so that I don't have to feel this thing. Normally we don't consciously make that decision. We kind of just subconsciously make that decision. So sometimes these, or we want to sleep all day, right? We just want to sleep all day. So sometimes it's a matter of, maybe you are overworked. Maybe you do need to sleep a little bit more. Maybe you do need to feed yourself, but feed yourself well. Don't give yourself a bunch of garbage, because if you feed yourself garbage, your body gets confused. Your body's like, okay, every time I eat, I'm not getting much nutrition. It seems like I have to eat an enormous amount of food to get a little bit of nutrition. So I better eat a whole lot of food. I mean, you got to remember, your physiology seeks to survive. That is literally, almost all of our impulses. Really all of our basic impulses are survival mechanisms. And we've kind of trained some of these elements to become something other than that. But ultimately, all the urges that we have some tie to survival. And so there's a part of you that says, I want, like, for instance, we have multiple parts in our nervous system that says, I want to have carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are attached to nutrition. There are also things that are important for brain function. Our brains require enormous amount of carbohydrates because of energy consumption. We need so much carbohydrates. And because they're tied to nutrition, they should not be something we just stuff our face full of, right? But if you see a donut, if you see a pizza, right? And hey, don't get me wrong, I like my pizza. There's a reason why I'm not shredded. I try to eat really, really well. My big thing I tell my clients is the 80% rule. If you eat perfectly clean 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time you just eat for mouth pleasure, right? Sometimes we just eat for mouth pleasure. That's part of the human experience. Okay. Now, what's really great is if you can train your mouth to be pleasured only by healthy things so that you're eating 100% healthy. But I don't know of any human being who does that consistently. And the people that I know who do things like, okay, I'm going to force myself, I'm never going to eat anything, but it's got to be absolutely perfectly clean food. And I'm not going to have anything just for the taste of it. I see people burn out almost 100% of the time when they try that. And I know sometimes people will do a 30-day challenge or like the hard, the hard 40 or something, hard 45, I forget. I've not done that one, but some of my friends have. Those are great resets. And this, you can trace that sort of thing back to like ancient cultures. This is kind of a part of our human history. And you'll find it oftentimes in religions where there will be times of fasting, right? So there'll be times of fasting and there'll be times of feasting. And and typically people find, that, oh, wow, this is a way that the feasting is more delicious. The fasting is more, of a thing to take control over your base instincts. So these are absolutely good things to do. So like, for instance, some people do the Whole30. Some people will do, they'll make a challenge to go so many days of doing intermittent fasting, or maybe whatever it is that you choose to do. My biggest advice when it comes to feeling that urge to eat, going back to Alex's question or Alex's comment, is that it's something to be cognizant of, just to be aware of, and say, okay, I can have a little bit of mouth pleasure, right? And when I call it mouth pleasure, I'm talking about, that's literally why we eat, certain foods. There's no nutritional value in a lot of these foods, but there's, value for the mouth pleasure. And so there's certain times that I will say, okay, I'm going to eat a pizza, and damn it, I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to be fine with that, and I'm not going to judge myself, and I'm just going to enjoy the mouth pleasure. And then there's most of the other times whenever I'm like, okay, I know that I need to feed my body good fuel, and I'm going to eat it in the tastiest way I'm going to possibly be able to eat it. It's not like I'm choosing to always eat stuff that's bland or disgusting. There's so much that's good for us that's delicious. But, okay, if I'm eating a little bit more, if I feel the urge to eat a little bit more, and that is common whenever it's cold and yucky and nasty outside. That's why soups are so popular whenever it's cold and rainy and things. It's cold and rainy here. And it's not the kind of cold where it's like, as a cold training enthusiast, where I'm like, oh, hooray, it's cold. No, it's like, it's just annoying cold. It's not freezing. It's above freezing, but it's just annoying cold. So yeah, it can get a little depressing if you let it. So listen to yourself, but remember to be good to yourself. And these are the times whenever we have to understand that there are some instincts that we're going to have that are misplaced. And it's a time whenever oftentimes we will kind of overdo it where we shouldn't overdo it. Papa Geek is here. It's good to see you, my friend. Happy Friday, Skull. And this is just water, but if it were ale and or an awesome beer, I'd be cheersing to you. Good to see you here. Okay, Alex says, I usually sit down and breathe slowly, especially if I'm having a panic attack. Okay, good. Now, if you have a panic attack, you definitely want to slow down your breath. Very good. He says, my autism causes me to make mountains out of molehills. Well, hey, you know what? Whether it's autism or just being a human being, we all, can relate to that in a great deal. I know I've done it my whole life. And this is something I talk about a lot on this channel, is that if not for breath work, if not for all of these things that I talk about on this channel, I would be exactly what I was before I found them. And that is a mess. Like, I am a natural worrier. And there's a part of our brain called the motivational network that decides for us what we're going to worry about. And it's very difficult. I mean, it's nearly impossible. I would say it's absolutely impossible to tell that part of your brain what to do. That part of your brain is telling you what to do and saying you need to worry about something. Now, how you respond to that part of your brain telling you to worry about something is optional. That's the options we have. And so this is where breath work, this is where proper nutrition, exercise. Okay. So don't forget exercise. Exercise is so important, right? Because your physiology expects physical action. That is built into this thing called human. We don't have a body to sit down all the time at a desk. The reason why we have arms and legs, is because naturally we are supposed to move around. And so when you're not giving your body the stressors, sometimes we think about, okay, it's making me more tired or these things. Well, when you're not giving your body the stressors that it needs, it becomes weaker and more tired even still. So, absolutely. So, let's see, what do you have to say? He says, and when it comes to slow breathing, that is the most underrated breath work that I know of. Slow, deep breathing, nasal breathing that is slow. Everybody wants to huff and puff because it feels good. But if you can get in the habit of just nice, slow, low breathing in through your nose, out through your nose, that is right there. If we could train everybody, if we could give a gift of health to everybody, that would be in the package. That would be the first thing they open when they're opening up that gift, or they're opening up the box. They open it up, and the first thing that comes out is slow, full breathing. Just nice and slow. And people, we undervalue these simple things, but they're really, really valuable. So let's see here. Yeah, so Papa Geek is currently experimenting with a ketogenic diet. Oh, I'd love to hear about how that works for you, my friend. Ketogenic diets can be difficult to maintain. They can also have that keto flu, right? So some people do really well with it. Some people, tend to not do so well with it. I know I've seen your body type. I've seen. So I'd love to know how you're doing with it and how you feel. How deep are you into that ketogenic diet, Papa Geek? So Alex says, definitely a good reminder to breathe still, no matter how mundane it seems to other people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the thing is about breath work, this is the biggest challenge. So breath work is undergoing a blossoming phase right now. So it's exploding. People are becoming more aware of it. And, their exercise went through the same thing. And we still have most people who don't exercise. Like the vast majority of people do not exercise at all. And they look at you funny when you tell them that they're supposed to exercise, like you're being some kind of a jerk by saying, oh, you're judging me because I do. And I will say, I know this because I was one of those people. That was me in most of my life so far. I did not even start. Here's the thing. So I'm 41 years old and I've only been seriously exercising for 11 years. Okay. Up until the age of 30, I didn't exercise on purpose. I was the opposite of everything I am now, which is why I know that you can change and you can become who you want to be, because I was nothing like I am now. I had no, there's certain things that are the same, right? So, I mean, the things about myself that I did not change, but I've changed basically my outlook on life in almost every way. So, KP, you're going through a messy divorce. I'm sorry to hear that. You do need breath work. Breath work is essential. So keep it up, my friend, and just know that oftentimes growth is, well, all the time. Growth is always uncomfortable, and we have to grow as we go through these awful times. And I hate it for you, my friend. You have my deepest, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that each day you wake up and you understand that you're making progress, you're moving forward, and even through a messy divorce, good things can come. So my heart goes out to you, my friend. So let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so Alex, whenever you said you were shredded, you were talking about abs and biceps. Well, good for you, my friend. Good for you. Let's see here. So Alex says, I don't do those 30 days. I usually eliminate certain foods and see how they affect with or without. That's a good way to do it. Balance is the key in everything. Let's see, in the key in everything to have a nice body, but good mental health. Yeah, when it comes down to it now, language of breath, right? So this is a book that I'm publishing next year. It's also my philosophy of breath work that you're going to see more and more about. It's my 6-week course is now called the Language of Breath. It has to do with the fact that really ultimately we don't have language to express what we really are. The human being is literally a single organism. It's not these two things, body and mind. It's not these two separate things. I'd like you to point to a place on your body where you don't have a nervous system, right? Where is your nervous system not, right? You can't. It's all one thing. It's all connected. So absolutely, you gotta have balance for all of that. And healthy body, healthy mind, is one of those old adages, but it literally is all one thing. Alex says, you're gonna have beef, salsa, and rice. Oh, that sounds delicious. Where are you located, Alex? Are you eating? Let's see. Is it a Mexican food that you're eating? That kind of sounds like either Mexican food or for instance, I love eating Puerto Rican food, and that would go in with Puerto Rican food too. So, okay. So anyway, you're drinking hop water, Papa Geek. I have had some hop. I've had a little hop water. I've had hop water before, and I thought it was pretty delicious. Yeah, it was missing one specific ingredient that is normally in beer, but yes, Skull. I'm all out of even water now at this point. KP, the Buteyko method. Yes, I practice the Buteyko method every single. I practice elements of the Buteyko method every single day. The Buteyko method is the cool thing about Buteyko is that it really opened up our eyes as far as how we can train elements of our physiology that we didn't really understand very well. If you think about Konstantin Buteyko, I mean, he was coming up with stuff. I mean, it's almost 100 years ago now. I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, I guess it's far less than 100 years, but I mean, during the Cold War, early in those days, he came up with really an amazing method, and we've built on that. The world of breathwork has built on the original discoveries that he made, and of course, he was building on some of the things that he basically his own intuition. When it comes to the Buteyko method, one of the best Buteyko method techniques is the sinus clearing technique, because ultimately, breathwork, in my opinion, ultimately my favorite way to do all breathwork, I don't care what the breathwork is nasal. Got to keep those guys open. And so whenever you have a little clog, whenever you need a little boost, take a breath, let it go, wait for the urge to breathe. It's going to take a while, but eventually the urge to breathe will come, and then up you go, down you go, up you go, down you go. And it works. It works. Alex says you are in Chicago. Well, hey, brother, you ought to come to, I'm doing a Wim Hof Method workshop weekend in Chicago, in the Chicago area. It's in Vernon Hills. I'll be in there. It's May. When is that? Oh, I know how to show you, because today I'm using Zoom. So I will share my screen with you, and I will find out, and we will find out together. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just having fun today. So if you go to my website and you look at upcoming events, here it is. I'm doing Indianapolis next month. And then in May, on May 14th, I'll be doing a Wim Hof Method fundamentals workshop. So that's the basics of the Wim Hof Method. Still really good. If you've been practicing I go into some of the theory behind Wim Hof Method, but I also have a Wim Hof Method Advanced Techniques workshop on May 15th. And that's where we're going to be doing power breathing. And typically it depends. If we have time, we'll get to the inner fire breathing technique, which is really a lot of fun. It's really kind of an interesting technique. And then ultimately, we also have the ice games. So with the ice games, whenever I do the ice games, it's there's a lot of fun that we do. So we have different challenges that you do in the ice, and one of them is called Baby Ice. And you have to sing a song, which is Baby Ice, do, 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 do. Anyway. So yeah, I know maybe I'm not selling that one very well, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So Alex, you ought to come. So let's see. It's actually okay. So your beef salsa and rice is actually homemade, but it's funny you say that because there's a lot of Mexican restaurants in your location. Well, I got to say, here in the United States, we have it really good. Most of the world doesn't understand just how good we have, and actually, most of the United States, we don't understand how good we have it when it comes to Mexican food because we're right next door. You go to a lot of European countries, a lot of other places in the world, and they don't have it quite as good. I've eaten at some Mexican restaurants around the world, and it's generally, unless it is on this hemisphere, it's not quite as good as we have it here. So we really are very fortunate here in North America to be so close. Let's see, any plans to go to Colorado? So I don't have anything set for Colorado right now. I am going to be in Oregon in August. Actually, you know what? Here it is. Here we go again. I'm going to do it again. Let's look at my schedule here. Here we go. So I'm going to be in Colorado in August at the Up Your Game Summit, which includes a Wim Hof Method workshop. So there's going to be a Wim Hof Method workshop. There's going to be, if you take a look at the page, there's a lot of experts. I'm going to be doing language of breath, and my buddy Matthew Soul, he's going to be doing some martial arts training. We've got Dr. Nathan Wellner. She's going to talk about some martial arts stuff. We got more jiu-jitsu. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Huh? Maybe I'm not as shredded as you, Alex, but this was, I'm not as shredded as I was in this picture as of today. This was taken a couple months ago, maybe 3 months ago. This picture was taken. No, I guess this was taken in October. So I was 6 months ago now. So I think I put on a little bit of my blubber again. I was meaning to get even more shredded than that, but I started eating pizza. Maybe I don't know. Anyway. You can either choose to just come to the Wim Hof Method workshop, or you can come to the entire summit. There's going to be partying and just like all kinds of healthy partying, all kinds of fun that we're going to be doing. It's right next to the beach. There's going to be camping. It's going to be really cool. But in Colorado, I'm actually going to be in Colorado, in Silverton, Colorado, in June with my breath workers. But it's a closed event. I'm training people to be breath coaches. So I'm sorry, it would just be a closed event, but I do plan to go to Colorado anytime you want to invite me to Colorado, Emily, I'd be happy to go. Okay. I'm a new technology oriented Jesse today. Well, the thing is, Papa Geek, I was thinking to myself, I talk about so many things like, hey, I'm going to be in this place or whatever. And I never get to show people this stuff like I would like to show people. And I'm doing the like deep dive Wim Hof Method experience in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And I just wanted to show people how awesome this resort is. So I would say this is one of those ultimate vacations, because not only, if you're like me, you get I can sit by the beach and I can go to the pool, I can have a margarita on the beach or whatever, but I want to be doing something. I'd love to grow. I don't want to just be sitting there and, I'm kind of just rotting by the pool. I want to actually get into something, man. I want to grow as a person. I want to come back better than I left. And so that's the Wim Hof Method experience in Playa del Carmen. It's just going to be awesome. And the food, the extra things beyond, like me and James will be teaching and leading in depth stuff. But there's also like other options you can do: meditation, qigong, healing, like sound healing. I think they have an option for that. I forget exactly all the options they have, but it's all included whenever you buy your ticket. So it's like literally it's an amazing Wim Hof experience. I don't think I would go so far as to say it's the ultimate Wim Hof experience. Although some people would prefer going to someplace that's really, really cold and icy, I just kind of like the idea of going to a tropical environment and doing it too. So, hey, let's see. So let's see. Yeah, I'm in Indiana, V. Thomas. Yeah, I'm in Indiana. Let's see. Okay, so Papa Geek, you said you jumped in the ketogenic diet 4 days ago. You just jumped in. Bought a blood glucose and ketone meter. Okay, all right. You got your ketone mojo going on, which you're trying out. You said you'll be updating on Patreon or some other channel. Yeah, Papa Geek is in the Patreon club. And you can be in the Patreon club too. If you go to my website, jessecoomer.com, there's a link there, or you can just simply go to patreon.com/Midwestern Method, and you can find me there, or just search for Jesse Coomer Breath Club Patreon and on Google, and you'll find it. Let's see here. So yeah, definitely let me know more about how that's going. Okay, you said you're still going strong. Sweet. Okay, and then my breath is bad, but my mind is clear. Hey, it's okay to have that. You can get a mint, right? Or you can just brush your teeth more. Emily says, sweet. I'll look into that. Thank you. I just didn't want to veer away from your live video. I appreciate it. Well, hey, no problem. Today on these live feeds, I'm just having fun. It's Friday. And I am so happy to be here. I've had a great week and I'm full of energy right now. I'm full of excitement for all the things that are coming up. There's so many good things that are coming up. So I'm just really excited to share with you. So thanks for those questions. So John is talking to Papa Geek. He's not even talking to me. All right. Emily, she says, I'd love to do breathwork facilitator training with you. Hopefully next time here, I will have the opportunity to join next time around. Absolutely. So the way this works is each year I plan to, I'm not sure how many people I'll open this up to. This year, I only opened it up to 10 people because first of all, this is my first year to do it. I've taught breath work. I've taught people, like thousands of people around the world, how to better their lives with different styles of breath work. And I've also done breath work training for many, many years with individuals and things like that. And so I've developed the language of breath system. And if the first step is the next time I offer the language of breath online course, it's a 6-week course, take that, and then you learn the language of breath. And then from there, you can apply to become a language of breath breath worker. And ultimately, I teach you how to be a breath worker and how to do what I do. And then I choose people who I want to work with. This year is just an incredible group of very talented individuals, and I'm excited to work with them. So we had our very first meeting yesterday, and it was just like Avengers Assemble. Like everybody was just so cool, and you'll be hearing more from these people. I'm going to have them on the channel. And I would love for you to apply as well, Emily, or anybody else who wants to learn how to use breath work. So for a lot of people, you're already a coach of some kind. Like maybe you already do personal training, or maybe you're a basketball coach, or we've got police officers, we've got yoga instructors, we got people who do family counseling, like relationship counseling. We've got people from every walk of life, and because every walk of life is a little bit different, and I may not understand. Like, for instance, when I go train the military, if I go train, like every time I train first responders and things, I can do a pretty good job, but I am not in that life, And so it's so great whenever people are coming from these fields and saying, hey, I want to learn, I want to take this with me so I can teach people how to breathe better, how they can listen to their physiology better, and how they can live a better, more focused life. So anyway, so that's coming up, more on that in the future. So guys, I want to thank you all for being here. This is just always a fun day for me. It's one of the fastest hours of my life whenever I do these. I got on a little early today. I may get off a little early today. And you notice how dark it is behind me? Alex, I'm thinking of you. Wherever you are, you're in Chicago. So yeah, you're not far from me. I'm in Indiana. I'm in southern Indiana. So I'm about 4.5 hours south of you. And I know the drive very well. I go to Chicago a lot. And so, yeah, it's just nasty here too. It's just kind of like cloudy. It's the kind of ugly that if you don't watch, it can make a person a little depressed. So don't let it get you down, my friend. I'm going to, I may do a little breath work. I may actually start getting ready for dinner though. And that beef sounded really good. Tonight we're eating fish though. We're going to have, I believe we're doing some salmon. So that's what we're doing. Emily says, thank you. Fantastic. Thank you for the info. Your method really resonates with me. I've been considering training from other websites I found online, but knowing you're offering training is super exciting. Well, I am really excited to train people. I want this, the world of breathwork is full of a lot of voices, and I wouldn't add my voice if I didn't feel like it's needed, or that I have nothing really to add. And so I really am really honored that people are out there listening. So I appreciate that so much. Alex, yeah, well, I appreciate you, and you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy your dinner. And I'm going to think about rustling up. I think we're having some salmon tonight. So getting some of those omega-3s and some quality proteins for the gains, right, Alex? All right. Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Please go to my website, jessecoomer.com. Please like, subscribe, share videos. I did a video earlier today about NMN. Check that out. I've got some really kind of interesting results I had from that, and I've just been kind of experimenting with that. Join the Patreon Club if you haven't already done so. If you're part of the Patreon Club, thank you. You are keeping me going. You're keeping the dream alive in a very real way. So I appreciate you. All right, guys, that's it for me today. That's it for this week. I'll see you next week, same place, same time. I don't know if I'll be using Zoom that day. Maybe I'll use the regular YouTube. Maybe I'll play a song. I've been meaning to play some songs for you guys. Anyway, let me know. Feel free to send me emails and all that other stuff at jessecoomer.com. Have a great weekend, guys, and I will see you next time.